Get ready to master your life and achieve your dreams with Lifestyle Mastery, the show that will transform the way you think about personal development, business, and entrepreneurship, and explores the fascinating world of self-improvement with the guidance of the renowned expert, Dr. Sheila Smith. From mastering your mindset to building a successful business, Dr. Smith and her guests will inspire, educate, and empower you to live your best life.
Welcome to Lifestyle Mastery. I am your host, Dr. Sheila Smith, and you know it, today we have none other than the PodBrother himself, Stephen Kimbrough. And I'm going to give you a little bit about him because you're going to want to reach out to him when this is all said and done, because I got finished laughing. So we're going to have a good time today. So let me tell you about this gentleman, Stephen E. Kimbrough, entrepreneur, 3D coordinator, podcast engineer, film producer, director, writer. And Stephen was born in Chicago, but grew up in Indiana and now splits his time between New York and Beverly Hills, California. Stephen currently owns the Hollywood Drive-In Film Festivals that he operates out of the Dream Magic Studios in LA. Kimbrough has one of Hollywood's he is one of Hollywood's up-and-coming producer. His slate of films projects varies from feature films to short films to animations to 3D's stereoscopic, 2D and 3D conversion to music videos. Wow, that's huge. And even documentary film. Kimbrough has written, produced, directed, and edited a 30-minute commercial currently running on Time Warner Cable in Las Vegas markets. He is currently writing 3 comedy action films and is developing 2 3D animation films and 3 documentary films. Comedian Stephen E. Kimbrough mixes his inner city experience with Midwestern sensibility. You know, it's so funny. That's my life. It's inner city, but Midwestern. And that is so key because that's a special mixture. So listen out for that. And he uses that sensibility to make people laugh. He has been at it for decades, turning his improvisational, I hope I got that right, Stephen E. Kimbrough skills, writing skills, facial expressions, and insight into a comedic science. He has a unique and intimate performance. Audiences love Kimbrough's comedy bits about dating, marriage, children, divorce, sports, relationship, growing pains, wearing a kilt, traveling, and politics. Kimbrough just recently launched his pop-up comedy club, My Laughter's Comedy Club, in North Hollywood at the Arc Theater. Let me tell you, I'm ready to bring this man up because I'm about to start screaming. I'm literally about to start screaming because a kilt, sir?
Yes.
Is that what we're doing?
I wore a kilt. You know, I did a comedy show at the Scottish Rite in Long Beach, and it was a conference expo with all these Scots from all over the world, and the Queen Mary honors this event. And they came to my show and they're like, Kimbrough, you're hysterical. Kimbrough is Scottish. You need to come down and check out what your tartan is and then jump in a kilt. And your next show, do your show in a kilt. So I was looking through their Scottish clans and I found the Cunningham tartan, which is my grandmother. So I bought that tie and I bought that kilt and I did my next show as Kimbrough Scottish Cunningham in a Cunningham tartan kilt. And I did a whole bit on a brother in a kilt and the whole 9 yards, and they went crazy. And that became my thing for a few years. And it was a lot of fun. And I still wear it today. Every once in a while, I'll break the kilt out and and I'll throw in my Scottish brogue and the brother from Scotland, and we'll have a little fun with the kilt.
You are so funny. I met you on the Owl app, and the Owl app is a social audio app. Can you talk a little bit about what you do on the app and who you are on the app?
I love the Owl app. The world knows me as Kimbrough, which turned into the PodBrother from the John Lovitz Podcast Theater in Universal City Walk.
Wow.
So John Lovitz is the PodFather. So I got coined the PodBrother. You know, my last name is Kimbrough, so bro is already in the name.
True.
And so when I was when I launched my podcast called the PodBrother, and fast forward to tape when I saw the Owl app and I do podcasts, I'm like, I'm the Pod Owl. This would be awesome. So I became the Pod Owl on the Owl app. And here's why I love this app. Number one, I get to do my comedy. You know, everybody that I meet, I get to, you know, feel them out, see what they're about. And in my head, I'm kind of formulating how I can do my little comedic antics and whatever we're talking about in our entrepreneurial exchanges, because it's all about entrepreneurs and their expertise and being ambassadors. So these are experts, and experts they're intelligent and they're smart and they're savvy. So, you know, I get a chance to exercise that intellectual jousting of entrepreneurial exchanges. But I also get to develop comedy proteges, because being 40 years in the business, I have learned that comedy is the healer of all things. And everybody, every single person on this planet has 3 minutes of material, every single person. So I thought, okay, let me take my 40 years of experience in stand-up and turn that into an online comedy workshop. And let me use the Owl app to build an army of comedic students who want to incorporate the tools and the techniques and the paradigms of how to formally write and perform comedy. And you can integrate that into your personal life, your professional life, your recreational life. If you want to be a professional comedian, you know, I can help you with that. If you want to be a better presenter, a better speaker, a better preacher, a better salesperson, I can help you with that. If you just want to be the funniest person at a Christmas party in the kitchen, I can help you with that. So I realized that, you know, I needed a platform where not only I can develop that comedy army of ambitious humorists, if you will, but I also can get paid for giving that advice. Because everybody calls me, hey, Kimbrough, I got this bit. Can you help me out? Hey, Kimbrough, can you help me with this? I want to punch up this pod line. Hey, PodBrother, I want to make my podcast funnier. Here's the topics. What can I do? And for years, I've given that advice for free, and glad to do it, by the way, because it's fun for me. And anytime I'm listening to somebody, another comic, and they do one of my things, I'm like, hey, you know, that's a validation from my comedic brilliance. And if I hear somebody on a podcast use a tag or a topic or a way or a facial expression or a pause or a beat, and I'm like, I told them that they used it and it worked. Look how funny they are. So this app is like, it's the last missing link of basically my comedy enterprise, from comedy films, comedy podcasts, comedy performance, live stages, you know, now doing an online course. And now the cherry on the cake is people can call me for 10 minutes and ask me for advice. You could be waiting for your turn in the wing on stage to go on, and you can call me up and be like, hey, I'm about to go on in 10 minutes. I just thought of this new thing. You know, should I do this or should I do that? And I'm like, oh, do this and then do that and then pause here, do the beat, and then use this for the punchline. And they'd be like, okay, bet. And then you hear in the background, next come to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Tony. And they go on. You know? And
tell them how they can reach you. I put the website up. Tell them the process of what they need to do to get to you on that Owl app.
Yes, if you go to owl.com, OWWLL.com, it's going to give you some options to download it either on your iPhone or your Android phone, whatever device you have. I have like 5, so I've downloaded on every single one of my devices. But download that and just go through the prompts, put in your information, and there's going to be a prompt that comes up for a promo code. You can put my promo code in there, which is comedy.
Oh, perfect. That's easy. Say it again.
Easy. Comedy. Plug in comedy for the promo code. Okay. I made it easy for you. And then and then go through the process to fill out your profile, upload your picture, make some cute little videos about your expertise, what you want people to ask you about, and then you'll get $10 for your first credit, so you can make a few calls. You're only allowed to put your price at $1 for the first 10 calls. That's just so that you can get a feel for it, and a lot of people will call you. So at $1, you can get 10 experts to call you. And if I see you on there and you got, your $1, I'm calling you. And we can chop it up, and we can talk about your expertise, or we can talk about comedy, or we can just talk about life. We can just talk about humanitarian connections, whatever you want to talk about. And that's what I like about the app. It starts off as us being experts, but like when I met you and we started talking, we spun off into just some real life dialogue that made my eyes go, ooh.
Mine too.
Like you pop my eyes up, you like bug my eyes up, be like, oh, wait a minute. DSS just threw me some wisdom on there. Dr. Sheila Smith. I'm going to get me a DSS shirt. I'm going to give me a shirt that says, I've been exposed by DSS. They're going to be like, what's that? Is that a new app? I'm like, no, that's Dr. Sheila Smith, bro. Come on, she on the our app. Where you been?
Come see about me. I'm here.
Come see about. Dial her up. I'm telling you.
About me. Come see about a sister. You are someone that not only has wisdom in comedy, but you are an accomplished filmmaker. Can you talk about that?
Yes, I love. My grandfather was the family like 8mm film dude, and he was making like the family films, and I always thought that was really cool.
Wow.
And as I got a little older, I was the person that helped set up the projector in the backyard for the family reunion, and read the thing through the projector. It's the old school 1960s projector with that whole like sound. And every once in a while, he let me hold the camera. And I've always been a film lover, a film enthusiast, a film activist in the back of my head growing up. But I didn't really know, growing up in the Midwest, you're not exposed to any avenues in those creativities, comedy and making films. Those usually are on the coast. And if you go for it, you somehow can find a way to get there. And I'm one of those examples where I DJ'd in high school, and from DJing I rolled into comedy, and from comedy I learned that if I filmed myself, I can learn faster, I can make things tighter and better. And from filming myself, other comedians were like, hey, can you film me too? Wow. So I turned into like this comedian videographer. And from filming everybody, they're like, hey, I'm shooting this little short thing. Can you come and shoot it for me? I'm like, well, yeah, sure. I'll come and shoot it. So now I'm the go-to guy to help you shoot your stuff. And I didn't really know anything about film. I didn't formally go to film school. I was just grab the camera, learn, through the manual, and just figured a lot of things out. And then as I got more and more into my comedy career, and I saw that TV and film is the next evolution of stand-up comedy, that's when I decided, okay, let me move to New York and let me really get some formal and some real life experience in TV and film and acting and writing. And New York was a great experience for me. I spent like 15 years in New York. I owned a comedy club, and I learned a lot. I was the producer for Apple Vision, which is it's the station in all the hotels in Manhattan. All the hotels. So when you go to Manhattan, you check in, you click on your thing. The channel that comes up is Apple Vision, and it tells you everything that you want to do in New York. Well, I got hired to produce the comedy segment of that. And I went around town and I did my own video segments of all the comedy clubs in Manhattan. And it rolled on all of the hotels. So I had this little micro fame in Manhattan.
Yes.
And I would walk around Times Square all day long just to see if anybody recognized me.
No, you didn't. No, sir.
You know, I was that guy. Hey, I'm from Chicago. I'm in New York. I'm producing my own comedy films with shows on 4,000 hotel TV. And I'm just like, I'm wondering who even watches this. And it was funny. Every once in a while, somebody's like, hey, you're on my Apple Vision. You're the dude you're the comedy dude. Like, where to go to do comedy in New York? I'm like, yeah, that's me. And so that was like kind of my first legitimate professional kickstart into filmmaking and producing and writing content that actually went somewhere for real distribution. And I tried to be a bi-coastal filmmaker, and I couldn't do it. I had an amazing lifestyle in New York. I owned a comedy club. My money was no good anywhere. I was on all the hotels. I had this little micro fame going. And I just loved my life there. But all the decisions for filmmaking were made in Los Angeles. And so I was trying to do the bi-coastal thing, and it doesn't work that way. You have to be there. When things happen, they happen in seconds. Wow. And you got to be accessible in seconds. And then, the deal is up, done, and gone in seconds.
Wow.
So you can't be on the West Coast trying to make that happen. And the thing that really pushed me out to Los Angeles to pursue the film was I did an audition for the film Major League. And that was the film that really launched Charlie Sheen.
That's right.
And so I went in for the audition, and because I'm an athlete, I played basketball, I swam, dove, I played baseball, softball, and I was really a good athlete. Good legs, good arms. I could hit the ball a mile. I could throw the ball a mile. And so I went on this audition, and they were like, oh, you're funny. I did the lines, and they were like, okay, I got a callback. I did the callback. I came back. They had me do some lines with some other actors, and they liked the exchange of that. Okay, that was awesome. Now we need you do another callback to see if you can play baseball, because it's a film about baseball.
Yeah.
And the actors need to look like a professional baseball player.
Oh.
So I go to the audition. There had to be hundreds of actors there that didn't even know the rules of the game, doctor. They didn't even know the base, what direction to run on the bases. They threw like my grandma, and my grandma could throw. They couldn't swing, they couldn't hit. They're like, this is a sports baseball. You have to convince people that you're a professional baseball player and you don't even know the game. But fortunately for me, I did. I was very good. They're like, you're amazing. And so I went all the way down through the line, 3 callbacks. Now I'm living in New York, and I fly to Los Angeles for each of these callbacks because these are real. They're like, we know you're in New York. We really, really like you. If you're interested, come back for this callback. It came all the way down to me and Wesley Snipes, and they went with Wesley Snipes.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they went with Wesley Snipes. Now, obviously, it's Wesley Snipes. He's, famous, he's talented, he's athletic, great. That's a great choice. But had I lived in Los Angeles at that time, and I would have been able to be like, hey, the director and the producer, they're, are here, or they're there, or they want to meet you, or they want to talk to you, or because every time you're like, do you live here? Where do you live? Do you have? Every time I went back, they were just like, because I could tell they were trying to integrate me into meeting more people on the project. Yeah. And if they liked me, then that would have influenced me probably having a better chance of getting that part. But the fact that they were really, really keen on me from New York let me know that had I been here, I probably would have, even though Wesley Snipes was, the choice to have, I probably would have been one of those unknowns that all I would have taken was one person somewhere in that ecosystem to go, give this guy a chance. And then that could have happened. So I moved out here, and And I learned that's exactly how it works.
Is that really how it works?
If you get out here, if you meet people and they see the casting directors need to see you a lot. So if you're coming in there every day, they're like, hey, okay, Kimbrough, I get. Now they're looking for stuff for you and they're lobbying for you. And next thing you know, you're getting parts. And I got cast to be in a national commercial for Nordic Track. It was exactly that. You know, they called me in, we talked, they call me in again, we talked some more. They call me in, talk to the director, they call me in, talk to the producer. And then it was like, you know, I probably had 6 meetings and they finally cast me in that commercial. And it ran for 3 years on like all of the NFL channels. So from that experience, I'm like, okay, I need to be in those environments where the frenzy of filmmakers happen, and that's film festivals. So then I started going to film festivals, and I went to the Cannes Film Festival. And I met a bunch of filmmakers. And at that year, 2004, they launched the Cannes Short Film Corner, brand new division of Cannes. They hadn't done shorts before. And they launched a short film corner. And then there were some other film producers that launched the Cannes 24-hour film challenge. And I entered that. And it just so happens I've got to be at the right place at the right time at a party on a yacht that I somehow wedged my way into. And I heard people talking about this challenge. And I'm like, what's that about? They were like, yeah, we're doing a 24-hour film challenge. Do you want to be in it? I'm like, yeah. So I entered and I won People's Choice.
Oh, get out.
Yeah. And from winning People's Choice, I got on the Jumbotron. And once I was on the Jumbotron, everyone in Cannes from all over the world could see all of the looping advertising and all the Cannes events and the red carpets was on this Jumbotron in this loop, and I'm in it.
That's amazing.
So from being in that loop, the mayor of the Marbella town in Spain was there with the commissioner of the Marbella film, with the director of the Marbella Film Festival, and they saw me in this loop, and they were just like, "Hey, we want to do that in Marbella, Spain." So they found me, and they were like, "Hey, I'm the mayor of Marbella, Spain. I see that you won the Cannes 24-hour film challenge. How much would it cost to have you come to Spain and do that event?" And I'm like, I don't know, 5,000 euros. They're like, okay, done.
Yeah.
So they flew me out to Marbella, Spain, 2 years in a row, and I did the Marbella 24-hour film challenge for their film festival. And I met more filmmakers, but on the international level. And from there, I learned that, you know, if you are above the line or below the line, it's where the power structure in how you can get your creativity out there. And above the line is where the action is. That's your producer, that's your director, that's your writer, all the people that create the project. Below the line are the people you hired to actually execute the different departments. And I've kind of been below the line until I was at the film festival, and I learned above the line is the way to go. And then I started producing and writing and directing, and that's the lane I've been in ever since. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful ride. And I've been on some great projects. I've met some incredible film professionals and great talent, TV executives and A-list TV producers and writers and film. And I'm producing a documentary film of my 40 years, including all this film action. And a lot of these stories that I'm telling you are going to be in that film. And so that's what I'm producing right now is a documentary film. And the working title of it is Everybody Has 3 Minutes, because I teach stand-up comedy. And what I have found is no matter where I go, no matter who you are, in what walk of life, what profession, everybody has a sense of humor. Everybody can make you laugh. Everybody has something about them that is comedyable. And I'm like, okay, I know what I know, and I can see the world, and I'm looking at every single person, and no matter where I go, I can't help but doing that. If it's a restaurant, if it's on a subway, in a train, a plane, I look around and I'm thinking, wow, every single person on this plane has 3 minutes of material. And in my head, I can write it up. I can see it with the pilot, the flight attendant, the mom with the crying kid, the business guy, the fat sleeping dude, you know, the senior grandma, you know, the you know, the lady from Costa Rica with the chicken. You know, it's like everybody's got material. And
Not with the chicken.
so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna make that happen. My impact is gonna be my comedy films, my stand-up comedy, but also teaching people how to do it. You know, giving them the magic sauce, and I can do that in my filmmaking as well. So, in 25 words or less, that's my film story, and I'm sticking to it.
So, what would you tell the over 40 woman that wants to reinvent herself and she's not quite sure what she wants to do, but she has an artistic flair? What would you tell her? What would you say to her to encourage her to, hey, you know, if this is something that she's interested in, how would she position herself to get into it?
As it relates to comedy, filmmaking, or
Either
just
one,
as a creative, just
a
as,
creative.
yeah. Um, what I would say is really, really dig deep into yourself and ask yourself some really hard questions. And some of those hard questions might be, what is it that really satisfies me, that really gets me jazzed, that really gets me high when someone reacts to a byproduct of my creativity? Like
Mm,
sit back and imagine that you created something. You created a widget of art, and then somebody came along and saw it and was inspired by it, and it changed their life
yes.
for the rest of their lives because of the byproduct, the creative byproduct that you made, inspired them, motivated them to the point to where in tears they went a completely different direction based on the thing that you made. And in their own head, they have a very clear direction on where they want to go because they were at the right place at the right time and they saw your creative byproduct. Think about that. Just 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 soak that in, uh that visual. And you haven't even made the creative yet. You
Yeah.
just only visualizing the impact it has on a completely total stranger, and their lives are changed forever. And you did that once with one human being in the universe. How would that make you feel? You ain't made a dime. You ain't made a dime. Nobody. You're not. You don't have one follower. You don't have one. Instagram. You don't have a view. Just one person. One person's life has changed forever, and no one knows about it except for you and that person. All right. You wrap your mind around that, and then you figure out what that creative byproduct is, and just focus on putting all of your, put your foot up in that creative creation and put it out there unbiased, and just see who goes, that sucks, what are you doing? Or someone just go like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
This is the most amazing thing that I've ever seen. And just soak that feeling in. Because when you do it once and you got proof of your own concept of how you can come up with something in your brain that nobody in the universe has ever thought of. And another human being can be inspired by that to change the direction of their trajectory.
Ooh.
Then you duplicate that and you multiply that. I have learned early in my comedy career, if you duplicate and multiply, that's how you evolve. You figure out one premise, one punchline, one joke. Now you duplicate that. You do it again. And you duplicate that. And you do it again. And you duplicate that. And you do it again. Then you multiply that. Now you got that. Next thing you know, you got an hour worth of material. And you're getting a laugh every 20 seconds.
Wow.
So have patience with yourself and what it is you're trying to do, because you have to sign up for the long game as well. So you have to look at it from barefoot, toes in the dirt, in the mix, micro granular observation of what you want to do. Then once you find that one grain of sand and you can be like, that's what I want to do. Then you pull back 30,000 feet and you see the whole planet as a big, giant, orbiting hub of sand. And you're just multiplying that. You're creating your own world. You're creating your own universe with what it is that you want to do. And if you can focus on that, that's where you should start. Now, once you get that, the next hard question is, how do I survive? How do I make money until I can get this from a singular, granular, tangible thing? Because I got a tangible grain of sand. I know exactly what I want to create. I know exactly the goal I want to get out of this creation, but I still got to eat. This is not going to really make me any money until I can get it to the point it can make me money. Then I can start doing that economic transition from the job into the creative. I'm trying to get it, from from brick and mortar to click and order.
Oh,
So in that transition, like how do I get here to where I get at that crossroad where I can go, you know what? I can let this brick and mortar go. Now I'm making enough money in the click and order to where I could take that off. And the second that you ask another hard question, how much am I willing to sacrifice to take a chance on myself, to take a calculated risk on myself? How much am I willing to sacrifice to multiply and duplicate what I have here to really support me for the rest of my life? That's another hard question. And it's a hard question. Trust me, I have asked it many times in my comedy, in my filmmaking, my podcasting. It's like, to be really, really good, you can have the jobby job, but you still got to eat. But yet I'm making enough money here with the podcast, but how much more podcast do I have to do in order to let this go? And how many more gigs and what kind of film jobs do I have to get? And you got to ask yourself those questions. If you're okay with making that sacrifice, and if you're okay with going out with a few luxuries or a few creature comforts, and and this is worth the squeeze is worth the juice.
Oh yeah.
Then when you're in it, the second that you make that jump, you got to understand, you're humping your elbows and you're making it happen. And if you fall short, you still grind. You just have to be creative. Where you lack in resource, you make up in creativity. And if you can find a really sweet spot to land in and being satisfied with what you're creating in exchange for a creature comfort, is worth it. It's worth it, because at some point you're gonna cross that hump, and your creativity is going to financially sustain you, and at that point you're off to the races. So in 25 words or less, that's my answer.
I love that. I love that because I always want to be able to give people a way if they were interested in what you're doing. I know for me, I'm always thinking to myself, wait a minute, is that Pellegrino?
Yes. Just went down the wrong pipe.
That's good.
You choked me up, Dr. Sheila.
Literally. So I
I
always want to be able to give someone a roadmap, at least to the process, because it's no good to have someone on talking about it, but then if they say to themselves, oh, I would like to do that, where would I start? Where would you tell them to start in either the comedy side, or because I did some stand-up earlier in my life, but how would a person over 40, where would they start in either the comedy side or even in the film side?
Let's start with the comedy side.
Okay.
The comedy side, you want to take as many workshops and classes and courses that you possibly can take. Had I known that when I first started, I probably would have saved about 5 years on the development of my comedy career.
Okay.
Because these people have already gone through those lessons and those trials and tribulations.
Mm.
There's 2 powerful lessons you need to learn in stand-up. One is the formula and the paradigm in which to learn how to write and perform stand-up comedy with the goal to get your audience to laugh. Not an easy process. Some people have the gift and the talent to get there a little quicker than others, but everyone can get there. So that's one side. So learning how to do that is, if you can work with a mentor or a coach or a comedian or a writer or somebody who is a real professional in stand-up and can show you how to do that, you search them out. There's lots of YouTube. There's lots of comedy courses. There's books. There's a lot of tutorials. I do a stand-up comedy workshop on pnnacademy.org. Figure that out. The second part is the comedy club culture, the comedy industry, economics, and politics that, if you don't know, can kill a lot of opportunities for nothing.
Oh, wow.
You know, just how to navigate the comedy industry, how to approach and talk to comedy agents, comedy bookers, other comedians, open micers, how to build your audiences right from the beginning. I think about all those shows I did, and I let hundreds of thousands of people slip away that could have been in my database and been part of my audience as I'm evolving. By the time I thought of that, I was 10 years, 15 years into the game. And I had performed for, colleges and cruise ships and corporate and open mics and everywhere. And it's like, wait a minute, I probably should have been collecting data on these people. And anytime I do anything, I got my own built-in audience. And so it's things like that, what to avoid. There's a lot of vices in comedy. There's a lot of alcohol. There's a lot of drugs. There's a lot of toxicity. There's, know what you stand for, because if you don't stand for something, you fall for everything. And the predators are waiting for you to get off the Greyhound bus with not knowing where you stand. And next thing you know, you are presented with the, oh, you want stage time? Okay. Do what's in this hand in order to get the stage time in this hand.
Oh,
and
boy.
what's in this hand may not be something that is healthy or you know, or righteous.
Right.
So lucky for me, I was raised by my grandfather, and he had a strong sense of you know, having a real understanding of who you are, what you are, where you want to go, and what you're willing to do, the value of a dollar, but not only the value of a dollar, but how you make your dollar is more important than the dollar that you have. And so no matter what I did, that was baked in. So yeah, I want to make a dollar on comedy. I want to make a lot of dollars on comedy, but I don't want to make it that way.
Yeah.
Because I already know what I stand for. And I don't stand for that. And I know I'm funny. And I know I can get funnier if you hire me. But if you don't, that's okay. I can get funnier over here. I can get funnier here. I'm funnier on the inside. I don't really need any of that. So you have to know what you stand for so that you don't fall for anything and have your long game all ready to go. Like, I want to get into comedy, Kimbrough. What should I do? Okay, first of all, figure out what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do right now before you learn one joke. If a comedy club comes up to you, a comedy club owner or a booker or a headliner, and they say, hey, you know what? I want you to open for me. It pays $1,000, but you got to do the X equals Y equals the unknown Z. And if you know that formula and that equation ends up in hell no, okay, let me start showing you some jokes. Let me start. But at the same time, maybe you're one of those people that are like, you know what, Kimbrough, I don't care. I just want to make people laugh. I will do whatever it takes. Well, now we know you're that person.
Yeah.
So let's at least get you funny. So when the opportunity comes up for the X, Y, Z equals Y, you already be like, sure, I'll do that, no problem. You know, let's do it. I got yucks for the Y. Let's go.
You are hilarious. You are hilarious. So I see that you are a social media project manager. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I often will have people come and they'll be like, you know, my social media is very scattered, and I really want to defrag it, and I want to, you know, take my brand and push it in a direction that can yield me more followers, more views, more sales, and my products. So what I would do is I kind of take a look at their whole social media kind of platform, what they're on, what they're not on. I'll look at their brand. I'll look at their message that they want to get across for their brand or their product or their widget. And we'll sit down and we'll put together a little strategy on what your goal is. Is your goal you want to get your brand out there? Then everything that we create and design is all about your brands. And then we'll get that in as many places as we can so that you can get branded. If it's about your product or your widget or your service and you want to get more click-in orders, then we put together a strategy or a campaign that drives all the traffic to where they can click to buy something. And if you just want to, you know, get more followers or get more views, then it's like, okay, let's look at how we can do, you know, something a little bit more creative that might get them to be like, oh, this is kind of catchy, this is clever, let's see if we can push this around. So everybody has their own kind of their goal and what they want to do, and I'll just sit down and listen and talk with them and just kind of get a feel for what they want to do, and then I'll like, okay, here's what I suggest that you should do. Now sometimes they'll go with me to help them do that because I'm a podcast engineer. Everything that I tell them is always going to be a strong push to produce your podcast first, and then use your podcast to leverage your brand, your widgets, your click and order, your shows, your tours, your TV, your music, whatever. I think podcast is an amazing caveat to have for no matter what you do. And I'm honored that you invited me to be on your podcast because, you're amazing. And I'm glad that you have one. And I think having a podcast is a great tweener vehicle and platform for whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's comedy or music or counseling people or you're expert on OWL. You can use your podcast to expose people to the ins and outs of what it is that you're doing, no matter what it is you're doing. So the podcast in my consultation is a very heavy insert into my advice and how you can take what you need to do to the next level on all your social media.
I love that. Now, can they reach you at the pnnaacademy.org for that?
They can, yes. They can reach me at pnnacademy.org. They can reach me at podbrother.com. They can reach me at podbrothernation.com. Info at podbrother.com. Anything PodBrother, you can pretty much catch me.
Wonderful. I want to leave you with the last words. Do you have any encouragement or anything you want to add to what we've already said?
Yeah, and thank you for that opportunity. My lasting words is comedy is the healer of all things, which is the reason why I got into it when I was 10 years old. And I heard my grandfather laughing at Johnny Carson, and he wasn't a dude who laughed. Never heard him laugh. And then all of a sudden I hear this sounds like laughter. This dude there, I peek my head around the corner, my pops is laughing. And I'm like, I want to make him laugh now. So everything that I did to try to make him laugh, and I finally did. And it was the most amazing thing that ever happened to me, which is, I think, one of the reasons why I got into comedy in the first place. But I have learned in my life, being someone who loves to laugh and being someone who can make people laugh, that comedy is the healer of all things. Pick a box. I don't care if it's your physical box. It helps you physically with your endorphins, your adrenaline, your brain mentally. It helps release dopamine in the brain. Spiritually, it helps you physically, mentally, financially, in relationships. Think about every relationship that you have. What was the thing that fixed it? You let some time go by, you crack a joke about the silly thing you were fighting about. Next thing you know, you made up. Yeah. Pick a box. Comedy is the healer of all things. And if you understand that, no matter what dark spot you are in your life, no matter in what box it's in, you think about making someone laugh or laughing at the situation or spinning that dark into something you can, find a laugh, find a warm feeling. Yeah. You'll heal from it.
I love that. I love that. Laughter is great medicine for your soul, but mind, body, and soul, I like to say. Stephen E. Kimbrough, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on today. And I want to put your website up one more time. I want to put that PodBrother up. I want them to reach out to you and see any of the services that you have to offer, if it's useful for them, or if it's not at the time, tell somebody else, tell a friend.
Awesome.
Tell about it. So thank you again. And I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. Can I plug one comedy benefit before I go out of here?
Absolutely. Do it.
All right. I'm doing a comedy fundraiser for the Parkinson's Foundation at the Comedy Chateau in North Hollywood, July 27th, 7:30. If you're in the Los Angeles area, come down and support. I've got some great comedians. I got Brian Colley from the Conan O'Brien Show. And I'm going to be hosting it. And it's going to be a great, great, great show. Tickets are $20 online, $25 at the door. And if you're not in the Los Angeles area and you want to buy a ticket and I can give it to some people with Parkinson's to come down for the show, you can do that too. So you can get tickets at thecomedychateau.com, which is the website for the comedy club where we're hosting it at. And you're going to see it's Laugh and Give Till It Hurts, comedy fundraiser for Parkinson's. And that's the show. So thank you, Dr. Sheila, for
ComedyChateau.com.
thecomedychateau.com.
Love it. You're so welcome. It was a pleasure. And family, we'll see you this time next week on the next episode of Lifestyle Mastery. Enjoy your day.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Lifestyle Mastery with Dr. Sheila Smith. We hope that the insights, tips, and tools shared in this episode have inspired and empowered you to take control of your personal and professional life. Remember, personal development and entrepreneurship are a journey, and we're here to support you every step of the way. Keep applying the strategies and techniques you've learned, and never stop striving for your dreams. We'd love to hear from you. Please share your feedback and success stories on our website or social media platforms. And don't forget to subscribe to Lifestyle Mastery for even more expert insights and inspiration. Thanks again for being a part of our community. We look forward to continuing this journey of growth and success with you. And we'll see you again on our next episode.